Good evening, everyone. So before I begin, I would like to thank you for the opportunity of being here. This is a very special place for me where I spend countless hours for different events, and it's like a sanctuary for me for reconnecting with my roots and with my culture. So thank you for the opportunity. As you can see on board, my name is Livia BLAYLOCK. I work with very young children with autism. But before I dive in talking about my profession, I would like to tell you a little bit about my roots and my story. So I was born in the most beautiful city in the entire world called Trnava in Western Slovakia. I might be a little bit biased about that, but I don't care because that's how I feel. Um, as a child, I was always up to no good. As you can see, that's me in the middle. I was always very curious and always breaking things, taking them apart, and always wondering how things work and what is inside. Hence the empty Christmas candy wrapper on around my neck. um, and so during my formative years, I had two important things happening to me. First of them was that I frequented this underground venue in my hometown, Trnava, called K Club. And this is where my love for music especially, but for books and literature and for arts in any kind developed. And also, I connected deeply with all the outcasts and all the underdogs of society. And I think it deeply or it profoundly um, changed my trajectory or impacted my future. And secondly, I spent my senior year in high school as an exchange student in a small town, USA. And the event that was important to me, that happened to me, was I met this guy, and he approached me, and he impressed me thoroughly with his knowledge of Czechoslovakia. And it was impressive because of our age and because we were in the middle of nowhere. And little did I know that this guy I would meet with again 10 years later, and he would eventually become my husband. So that's why I'm here. That's how I appeared here. I graduated in degree in English language and literature and philosophy, and I was working as a translator for a little bit before I developed something what I call propeller in my behind, and I went to London to find out how to pour a proper pint, another passion of mine. Um, Surprisingly, this was one of the best jobs I ever had. And then in 2004, and I came to New York City, I was able to apply my love for books working in a bookstore before I launched my career as a special educator in New York City public schools. And I would never think that, but I really loved this job, and I created this passion working with kids with special needs. Um, Besides that, the perk was that summers were off. So this was my usual picture at the end of each school year. And I took advantage of that, and I started to travel extensively. One of the best trips we ever took with my husband was crossing Russia on Trans-Siberian train. Um, and I'm also runner because I need to take care of myself. It's very stressful to do my job, so this is a perfect outlet for me. And I consider myself long distance runner in like literally and metaphorically as well in my career. So in 2016, I decided to change my trajectory a little bit. Um, I became a behavioral therapist. I work with very small children, 0 to 3 years old. And I'm sorry, but these are all my clients. I had to blur out their faces for to conceive their identity, but it might look a little bit freaky. But but I decided to change this because I felt like I wanted to work in a more intimate setting, and I wanted to make a bigger difference, like to work with the young minds and adaptive minds and see the results. And this allowed me to do that. I do not work in a therapy room that is isolated or some sterile environment. I actually do work in children's homes. And I work actually anywhere where the child occurs at the moment. And in all these various places, the therapy happens on a go. And for example, over there is a picture of a barbershop. So I take my clients to barbershop because many kids with autism have, for example, problem with getting haircuts. So you would not believe how many barbers in the Harlem area know me, and they just say, "Oh my God, there she goes again." So yeah, another thing is that I just don't work with kids. I work with all the caregivers, the parents, the grandparents, and siblings are always crawling all over me during the therapy sessions. So it's important to stay in touch with them. And I specialize in something what is called ABA therapy, applied behavioral analysis, and it's, in other words, I focus on what works. I break the steps, the overwhelming skills into smaller little steps, and then I reward them. And at times I feel like a professional briber because I need to reward what is desired, and you would not believe what I'm able to achieve at times, like within 1 hour. All of a sudden, like the child starts to point or even says a word or decreases tantrums, and it's like a true magic happening. So it still gives me goosebumps to this day. And like lastly, I just want to mention that I've learned along with my clients. I decided to go to Mexico to learn Spanish, and so I could serve better Spanish-speaking families. I studied a little bit of ASL to communicate with my nonverbal clients. I go inside the buildings that people just pass by, and I see interiors. It fascinates me thoroughly. And most importantly, I connect, immerse myself with like cultural nuances and family dynamics with the people I work with, and that always touches me and touches me deeply, and it's very important to me. Thank you so much.